As you guys know by now, I am not from Manhattan. I am from Westchester's largest and most densely populated city called Yonkers. Um, this project I'm doing today is on what many consider the center of Yonkers, Getty Square. I grew up around Getty Square. I lived 2 blocks away from it for a majority of my life, and even now I live pretty close to it. However, despite me living so close to it, I never actually looked up the history of it. I used to walk these streets almost every day. As I'm going to go into, this is the center of pretty much all of the buses in not only Yonkers but Westchester. There is approximately 15 bus terminals who stop and pick up passengers in this area. The oldest research I could find on Getty Square went back into 1840, which is very close to the founding of Yonkers. During this time, many people who worked in factories located in Upper Hand, which is about 2 blocks away from Getty Square, used Getty Square as their center to either reside in or go shopping in. This area was filled with many small businesses owned by the people who resided in that neighborhood. So the businesses were either owned by the factory workers or the factory workers' families. The thing that I find so interesting about this research is that I found out Getty Square was once this place of utter liveliness. There were shows and dances that took place. People used to go there to gather with their friends and families for large celebrations during Christmas time and Thanksgiving. However, anybody who resides in Yonkers now can tell you there are no dances and no celebrations in the Getty Square we know now. I found out that during the 1950s, this new development called Cross County started to take place, and many people who used to go to Getty Square no longer went there because there was now this new shiny mall where you could get to by car. And after people discovered that place, they stopped going to Getty Square, and Getty Square lost a lot of funding, and that's when it started to deteriorate. People do not generally have a positive attitude when talking about Getty Square. A lot of people consider it a very unsafe area. Upon my initial research, I came across a couple of real estate sites where people described how they felt about the square, and some of the stuff I found was pretty interesting. Several people refer to it as Ghetto Square, and I'm not gonna lie, growing up in a Yonkers school system, that's how we all refer to it too. Many people says that real estate agents may lie to them if they look for a place in Getty Square just so they can sell the area. A lot of people deem it unsafe, and some people even feel the need to tell others to come armed. So, upon my visit to Getty Square, I tried to figure out why many people felt unsafe. And one of the things that I've noticed related to William White's idea of having places to sit for people to feel comfort in a space or area. And I noticed that Getty Square virtually had no place to sit. They went out of their way to make sure people didn't have anywhere to sit. And it really made me think maybe the people in charge of the square didn't want people to sit in this area. I mean, look at this man. Him sitting right here, that's him going out of his way, sitting in a high area where he's really not supposed to be. And even the bus stops, which really bothered me, had no place to sit, which aggravates me on another level because what about the people who are very elderly, which you often see in Getty Square because they have to use public transportation? They're forced to stand. And I took this picture because I thought it was really funny that literally the only place in the entire square where you could sit appropriately was that little child helicopter toy. This idea of not wanting people to sit even related inside of the businesses. For example, this sign was placed where it said seating was limited to 20 minutes, showing that they really didn't want people loitering or hanging around too long. Interestingly enough, there is this large set of stairs that is right at the entrance of the square, but nobody chooses to sit there because those stairs lead to City Hall. I observed this area for about 15 minutes and I saw several people pass by it, but nobody really stopped. Nobody looked around at that statue. Everybody just walked by, and definitely nobody even, I don't think, thought about sitting on those stairs. And I don't know if they made that decision consciously or unconsciously. I just know what I saw. Okay, moving on. Historically, like I mentioned, Gettysburg has pretty much always been known for having businesses and small businesses owned by families, and that still stays true today. Although you see these chain branches like Dunkin' Donuts popping up, um, it's majority of the stores there are still small businesses owned by mom and pop shops or bodegas or just, family owned businesses. However, a couple years ago, there were a series of fires that just ran across Getty Square, and it destroyed, I believe, 12 businesses. And they were majority of them, with the exception of the McDonald's, were all small businesses. And ironically, the only place in the block it didn't touch was this historical monument of the church. And I just find that a little suspicious because this fire, it's almost like the fire went around the church. But that's just my thoughts. Okay, so the last thing I want to mention is that 2 years ago, downtown Yonkers had its very own New York Times article posted about them. And in that article, the author is talking about how this area is becoming a more quote unquote livable place to reside in. And some of the things she says is pretty disturbing. For example, she says that Yonkers is being revitalized, and that even though it's not there yet because there isn't as many coffee shops or yoga places around, that she sees change is coming and that it will be here soon. She even goes out of her way to interview one of the small business owners of Getty Square who says that they hope improvement works their way to us. And I feel like this is a really misused quote because this business owner isn't asking for their area to be gentrified. All they're asking for is it to be fixed up. And I don't disagree with them. A lot of the area is really run down, but it's what we call home and it's all we've known our entire life. So that's that. That's Getty Square. It is what it is. And that's my project.